Are you being boxed in or breaking out? Today's bonus episode tackles typecasting and the often misunderstood conversation around range. Our casting directors explain how roles are cast with both precision and possibility, why being right for the role is rarely about looking like the breakdown, and how to make bold choices without losing authenticity. Join us. Looking to land your next big role? Casting Networks is where more high-quality roles are booked than any other casting service. With an annual membership, you'll unlock every tool you need to stand out. Unlimited headshots and reels, submission tracking, even the chance to link your socials and showcase your personal brand. On the go, the Casting Network's iOS app makes it easy to find and submit to roles anytime, anywhere. Right now, Casting Confidential listeners get $65 off an annual membership. Just use code CONFIDENTIAL at checkout or try it free for 14 days. Head to castingnetworks.com/confidential and get ready to get noticed. But hurry, this offer won't last long. Hey, actors. Need a reader but don't have anyone around? Or maybe your friend's on the way and you want to get a head start and run it a few times on your own? Check out RAFY, the app that scans your sides, lets you pick from over 60 voices to read with, and has an optional teleprompter built right in. It works in multiple languages, and there's a web version too if you prefer using your computer. Whether you're rehearsing, memorizing, or recording a self-tape, RAFY gives you the flexibility to do it all on your own time. Try it now at rafy.app. That's RAFY.app. And check the show notes for a 10% discount code. You'll thank me later. And with that, let's jump right into today's show.
Let's go.
You're not quite right for this. You're too edgy. Can you be more warm? If you've heard feedback like that, or worse, no feedback at all, this episode's for you. Today on Casting Confidential, we're digging into the tricky terrain of type range and the myth of the perfect fit. I'm joined by three fantastic casting directors who've cast everything from network series to indie films to local market gems. Robin Carus from New York, Kimberly Skyrme from DC, and Cheryl Louden-Kubin from Atlanta. Let's break down how typecasting helps or hurts actors and how to navigate the line between knowing your lane and stretching beyond it. Okay, ladies, what do you think? Typecasting. I mean, I think there's so much to unpack here. I think I've had people of size that you think a certain thing of, people of like, first off, because we're visual people, everybody is visual, and we are a visual industry. So we see something and our mind goes somewhere, wherever that is. And that, that can't be stopped, whether or not it's right, wrong, or in between. It just is what it is.
I'm sorry.
No, so that is a certain form of typecasting just from the very second we're looking at you. What do you guys share?
Well, as I was saying earlier, I typecast in my day-to-day life, walking down the street. I see a person, I give them what type they are, and I give them a backstory. My husband thinks I'm kind of kooky, and I am, but I also like to go against type when I'm casting, at least, one or two variations of a different type than what is on the page, because talent's amazing. Actors are incredible what they can do with the written word and how much life they can put into it and bring it to life and make it believable, even though they're not Dr. early 40s white, that can be anybody, and you can do anything with that. So I do like to cast against type. I'm not a big fan of typecasting, but it is like the first place we go, right? And it's like, okay, yeah, you look like the role. So let's see what you got. Let's see what we can do.
it's easy for us to say that or not like it or it feels negative, but think about a person early in their career. What a great way to book and book and book some more. So if you are new to acting or, turning to it from another career to be typecast as a lawyer because you were a lawyer and really work your chops, which will then allow us to see your talent. And then we can go outside the box with you and cast against type.
Do
So I'm
you
a big fan of casting against type also, but it's not also, negative in the beginning of your career because it's helping you to get the skills for us to be able to cast against type.
And do you remember back in the day when when actors had their composite, right? They had, here's me as a doctor, here's me as a nerd, here's me as a hip guy, those were visuals for us to kind of see you as that type, right? But people went after like the doctor, the nurse, the teacher, all of those types.
Here's
Well, and the type in the script is coming from the writer's vision. And then we, as creative collaborators, are brought to the table to create a new vision for the director to see. So now the director's seeing what the writer wrote, and that obviously we can read. So we provide that as an option. And then we're infusing our own creativity to that. And then ultimately, the director looks at these choices of what was on the page, what we've introduced, and may come up with an altogether new idea. So, I mean, that's the beauty of the collaboration of this. So, while the type is our springboard that we're starting from, I think we take a lot of different liberties and journeys from that original
You know,
typecast.
here's something too. If we're going to talk typecasting, I think that there used to be this misnomer that there was the character guy or the character lady, and they could only be funny. But if you think about it, the character person is that person that is so versatile that you can kind of throw them here and throw them there, and they will take on a role, kind of like they are the tofu of entertainment, if you will. Oh, and so they will take on the flavor. I have a very, very dear friend named Kenny, who I hope will listen to this specific episode since I mentioned him by name. And Kenny was my reader for a bazillion years. And very often because he was a character man and this was sort of whenever I would hire him as a reader, it was his day job. And very often because of how he portrayed everything, the director would look to him and say, I want to hire you.
Mhm.
And sure enough, he had done everything from All That Jazz, which was his first cinematic role, to The Young Riders, if you remember that television show, and not the film, but the television show. And so, he has played and theatrically on stage, he's played the gamut of you name it, from everything that's funny to something that is serious and menacing. And he himself is not a menacing man when you look and talk with him, but it's the idea that he can play it if you need him to do that. And even I'll say cinematically, there's something to be said for, like, the Mike Myers of the world that were once Saturday Night Live and then do something more dramatic, or Steve Carell, who again takes on a more serious role, or a Bill Hader.
yes.
These are character men that are so versatile, that talk about throwing typecasting out the window. They sort of feed the senses, and in the most wonderful way.
I think the industry has evolved a bit too from back in the day. We had, this guy for this gal for this, that, and I think now it is open season. Guys like, who Robin mentioned are definitely leading the pack, and we love that. That being said,
And
when I'm looking for a policeman, like that guy who has a picture of a policeman, and I need that for whatever, is he's in the mix. I promise you. I remember once, many, many years ago, I was looking for a policeman part, and I get pulled over with my young daughter behind in this seat behind me. And this guy was, okay, a stunning black policeman. And I'm like, he was perfect for the role. And I said, here, listen, give me the ticket, whatever you want. But
I am
This is back, when you could talk to policemen. I'm sure you still can. Anyway, so I said, "Give me the ticket, but listen, I'm having a casting tomorrow, and if you could show up here, and it would be great." And yeah, I mean,
And you got the role, right?
yes, of course.
Of course.
But, I mean, that's the whole thing. It's just, and honestly,
and
that is exactly what we do for a living is go out and find these crazy things. But a policeman for a policeman, sometimes it's a great thing, and so that's a good typecasting. But nowadays, everything's out the window. We change women to men, men to women, change sexes, because it's written down there if we want, this race person, this sex person, and we offer something different sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else?
Well, the
What do you
typecast did come out of the studio system when actors were
Yes.
like payroll at the studio. So that they did have specific people who played certain types. So they were being typecast, but certainly all of that has changed now with independent films and that studios are not the only ones making TV shows. And rather than have you on a full contract at a studio, you're on contract per show or per movie and that changes.
So I think it's important because I do hear a lot of talk out there about certain teachers or coaches talking about, well, this is your type or this is your brand, I think they're calling it, but I think if you're an actor, maybe open yourself up to other things that may be playing against what you look like or what you might be. That being said, still read the breakdown, and if you cannot do whatever the breakdown says, then do not apply. but yeah, I think just saying you're in this little lane, you're not just a comedian, because comedians are the top of the food chain, but let's try a number of
Well, I
different.
think it's good to start with a narrow focus
Okay.
so that you really hone your craft in that area. So again, it doesn't have to be a negative about typecasting. It can be a way for you to focus your career and focus your interests and really master that. If you happen to be good at martial arts or um ammunition, I guess I'll say, that, take a class. So you could take a how to use a gun for film and TV so that you do play a great police officer. So, or if you are a police officer and you're retired, that, starting in a way and focusing your craft is not a problem. But if you fall into a trap of only working that and not exercising and pushing boundaries in a class, so when a great opportunity comes up that we see in you, that we feel like you could do something else, but you haven't prepared yourself.
Right.
Again, luck is when opportunity meets preparation. So make sure that you are prepared in taking on other roles and really focus your energy on getting roles that you're great at. So it's not a bad thing if you use it as part of a strategy. It's a bad thing if you're not challenging yourself. And it's a bad thing if a casting director is only sending you to cop auditions because you happen to look like a cop, or to librarian auditions because they think you look really booky and you were a librarian. Like maybe you do want to be in a horror movie and play a killer. So, but you have to know how to be a killer and make it feel authentic.
I think we learned a lot about that earlier in the season. I remember when Robin, you and I were talking with Danny Joels. That's been out for a few weeks now, and he talked about, so if he gets a call for like a nerdy Jewish guy, he's gonna play that right. He knows that's right in his lane. But then if he gets a call that's completely out of, he's gonna amp it up and really do something crazy because it's not at all in his lane. So he says, I'm just gonna, bust it out of the park or something like that, I think is what he said. Um, but
And be
strike me
memorable.
out
Yeah.
now, or yeah, and I think that's good. And that takes years of experience being an actor, to know what you can do really well, and then to know where I'm just going to throw this against the wall and have a little bit of fun with it, and maybe it sticks.
Yeah.
But you have done that in class. Like, you need to be working those skills so that you don't fall flat in the audition room, because you've really worked the muscles and, before you got to the audition process.
Agreed.
Sometimes there are these like skills that kind of you can apply to certain things. Like when you talked about martial arts, for example, let's say, you are looking for that person who can play the cop or can play Mercutio in Romeo and Juliet, and the idea that there has to be that no nonsense, or that I can take you down if I need to kind of feel, that that they prepare you for when you are studying, like name the martial art form of choice. Or let's say you do have experience with weaponry of any kind, and not necessarily weaponry with the idea that you studied stage combat, right? But then it's the idea, can you pick it up? And certainly when you have those skills, you can pick it up. And certainly you understand how to physically hold yourself, and therefore making you an asset to all of that potential for those types of roles that may call for that quality that you have when you have those. I don't know. It kind of goes along with the idea of, how does this help you, and how does this kind of, when you're trying to sell yourself, how does it sell you?
Well, I always love pointing out the positives. So again, riding on that, say, martial arts trainer, any kind of physical job, that could get you typecast as a stunt person. If you've been studying acting and you're great at stunts, and then you start getting well, guess what? If you're a really good actor and you're good at stunts, when the casting directors are auditioning the stunt people to see who's going to be better delivering the line, you're going to be at the head of the pack, because you've been typecast as a stunt person, but you've been studying acting. So you now are bringing more to the party than everybody else.
And when you submit, make sure you put a little note there that says great at firearms, great with, have done stunts,
Firearms, weapons, all of those. Better than the word artillery that I could come up with.
The notes are so important. Just
Yes.
if you have it, just be truthful. Tell me your skills. Fill out those little skill boxes in your profiles. Casting Networks has a great one, honestly. And we filter by that. If I'm looking for somebody who can hold a gun and shoot a gun, then
Oh,
that's a
yes.
skill. It
And
is.
don't put the same note on every submission, which I've seen a lot,
Oh, yes.
award-winning actor, and it's like a
No.
paragraph.
I
Just
don't want to know
a
about that.
bullet point, boop, that has something to do with what I'm looking for this very second.
Yes. Purposeful communication in those notes. Something that's really going to draw our eye and is going to help us in casting this particular role.
Agreed.
Which is, again, why you need to submit often with a new note for every job.
That's right. If it applies.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys have any more thoughts about typecasting range and the myth of the perfect fit? I think we've done it, huh?
I think we did.
By Jove, I think we've got it.
All right. Casting is as much about possibility as it is for fit. The more you understand how you're perceived, the more agency you have in shifting that narrative. Thanks for joining us on this bonus breakdown. For more behind the scenes insights, make sure to follow Casting Confidential wherever you listen for your podcasts. Thanks for joining us. That's a wrap on today's episode of Casting Confidential. If you're loving the show, here's what you need to do. Follow us right now on your favorite podcast app so you never miss an episode. And if you're feeling inspired, take a minute to leave us a rating and review. It's the best way to help us grow and keep bringing you these behind the scenes stories. Join the conversation with us on Instagram at Casting Confidential and drop us your thoughts or questions. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep your craft sharp and your audition sharper. See you back here for another episode of Casting Confidential.
One of the greatest podcasts in television and film with Rosen, CSA, and all the friends. Bringing you Casting Confidential. Casting, that's essential. Casting, so eventful. kind of tune in the close friends, chilling with Rose. We call it casting confidential. Get a notepad ready, grab a pen and pencil. For magic to jot down, tell a friend too. A wonderful podcast and TV and film, we call it casting confidential. Let's go.